Over the next few weeks here on City Source, we're going to be talking about how some local nonprofits are faring during this ongoing pandemic. Today, we start with the Irving Schools Foundation. Crystal Scanio is president and CEO of that organization. Crystal, glad to have you back with us.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
And of course, you were here in the early weeks of the pandemic talking about how your organization was working to get food to students. How has that response evolved now that we're approaching a year into the pandemic?
I got the best quote from one of my donors early on, and I feel like I repeat to myself daily. It's a marathon, not a sprint. When it first hit, we were scrambling to see what we could do to help our kids out. And that donor told me that, and it was just such an eye-opening statement because it's been a marathon. We just have to every week continue with the mission of serving these children and feeding them every week.
And part of that evolution in the response involves now home delivery, correct? Tell me how that's working.
This has been a beautiful partnership with the school district. We were having issues. So prior to COVID, we were serving about 1,300 to 1,400 students every week. When COVID hit, when it first hit, we jumped to 5,000 students a week. It was an incredible jump. And then with students not having transportation, with our bus systems not working, more students not coming to school, we've now dropped to about 1,100 kids per week. And we think that drop is primarily because they can't get to us. So I was talking to our superintendent, who's amazing, and told her the issue. And she said, well, why don't you give it to our counselors who are doing home visits, and they'll take the bags of food to the kids and the families. So we just started this month, and we served 150 students last week with bags of food and gift cards. And the stories I got back from that were just incredible. Parents crying, students being so happy. It was like Christmas opening up those bags of food. Many of the counselors have shared that they've looked in the cupboards in the kitchen and they're empty. So to have that to be able to give to those families is incredible during such a stressful time.
And let's talk more about that. What are some of those stories you are hearing from parents and students as they deal with the ongoing health and economic impacts of this pandemic?
Our students are scared, and rightfully so. This is something that you can't prepare a child for, right? You can't tell a child that this might happen. Everything's going to shut down. Mom and dad might lose their jobs. Families are going to pass away. Family members will pass away. So we've been hearing stories from students of just appreciation to the community. And I have a great one that we received from a fifth grader, and it talks about how the food has had such a big impact on her family. And she shares removes the stress from her mom about groceries. And she said, if we didn't have these grocery bags, we would be starving or worse. And it just makes you think a child, a fifth grader, to understand that concept. And she ends her story with, if she could, and if they didn't have these food bags they'd be receiving, she would try to get a job. A fifth grader would try to get a job to help her mom. And it's heart wrenching. But again, the community has stepped up and we're meeting this need.
Those letters and words that you get from people have got to touch everyone. And of course, it won't be long before we start talking about spring break. And I think for everyone, it is a lot less about vacations and celebrations this year. When schools are closed for breaks, what kind of challenges does that present in making sure students are fed?
It's the feeding and the social and emotional issues that we know that we're going to start facing, and we are already facing. A lot of these kids, school is their escape. Maybe they have a really bad home life and they get to go to school and see friends and have a great time and have food. And then the spring break, like you said, is usually a break from that, and they get to have some fun and play with their friends. Of course, right now they can't have any of that. Our biggest concern with the Irving Schools Foundation is just that week of them being gone without having the breakfast and lunch that's provided from the school. And how do we get all this food out to them? So we're going to continue what we did back when COVID first hit and do drive-through scenarios, because that's been our best effort to be able to reach the most kids. And then we'll definitely continue the counselor home visits. And we need, the need is going to continue to grow. Like I said, when we did the home visits, we did the drive-throughs, we spiked to 5,000 kids. So we definitely need the community to help us meet that need.
So these initiatives we've been talking about fall under the Food for Thought program, but we know food is not the only need. What are you hearing about clothing?
A great question. We've had so many counselors come to us. And again, our counselors are our lifeline to the students. Our counselors in Irving ISD are angels on earth. They are incredible human beings that know these kids. They are able to identify needs that you can't really see sometimes. And sometimes they're the needs that you can see. And we're getting lots of emails from them saying the kids that are showing up in person are coming without coats. And we know it's been very cold outside. They're not wearing proper shoes. A lot of kids are coming with the same uniform they've been wearing all week long that's still dirty. So they're asking us for support with that. We've had a lot of young kiddos having a lot of potty accidents. They're asking for underwear. And it's something to give a child a gift. And I know it doesn't fix the situation, but maybe it'll make them feel a little bit better about themselves on the outside when they're going through this very unknown scenario of dealing with a pandemic and virtual learning and all the other challenges that they're facing right now as children.
You've mentioned how the community has shown support. For people who still want to help, what is the best way to reach out?
We definitely need the help. We're here. We've got the man and the woman power, the amazing volunteers, but we need the funds. We need to be able to continue this process because we've seen the success. We've seen the difference that this bag of food is making in these child's lives. So they can visit our website, irvingschoolsfoundation.org, and learn more about Food for Thought program. They can definitely make a donation on our webpage. They can also donate to our clothing programs. So we have the ability for them to donate toward clothes, uniforms, socks, underwear, coats, whatever they want to provide funding for. We definitely need the help.
All right, Crystal Scanio, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.